Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Howard, and it's time to get stress-free. Hi, welcome to another episode of the Stress-Free Educator Podcast. Let's jump right into it. Today's episode, we're going to talk about the students versus the educators, okay? The students, when the children are the stress factors, right? That's what we're going to talk about today. So let's do the setup. Y'all ready for the setup? This is the setup. Picture this. Your student hates you. They cannot stand you. The class starts to do TikTok challenges on you, pranks. The one with I think there was one where you pull the teacher wig off or something like that, or slap a teacher and walk away. They do all kind of stuff, sabotage. There was an incident where they locked the teacher in the bathroom. And another incident where they put hand sanitizer in her water. Oh my goodness gracious. This is when the students are really fighting against you. This is more on the side of discipline, but they already fight against you when they don't want to learn the materials and don't want to do the homework. That's one battle. But this battle right here, when it starts to turn into discipline problems, is a whole nother level. And I'm talking about purposeful discipline problems, because sometimes you have discipline problems because ADHD, different things like that, so on and so forth, medical issues, things that they can't control, or maybe they're having some personal issues at home and they're acting out. That's not the kind of discipline issues I'm talking about. I'm talking about regular children that have a good life and they just don't like you. They just don't like you, and so they're acting out and they want you to quit. They want you to quit. They want a different teacher. They hate being in this class. So this is the battle between, this is what I'm going to talk about today. I had to set up the situation so you can understand where I'm going. Students versus educators. Now they don't like you and they're starting to do stuff in your classroom to get on your nerves. That's a stress factor. In the news, I think it was a couple of months ago, there was a teacher that got into some trouble because they recorded her and she was using curse words, and she was basically telling the girls, she told the boys as well, no one was allowed to use the restroom. It was a PE coach, I believe it was. No one is allowed to use the restroom. They have to make sure they use the restroom before. That's something typical, because what happened is there are a lot of discipline issues when the students go to the bathroom or keep asking for the bathroom. They go to the bathroom and they slack off, or they do this and they do that. And as an educator, you try to limit that. You don't want to not let them use the bathroom, but you kind of have to make it known that, hey, can you please use the restroom before you get here? Because it just causes a lot of disruptions. And sometimes fights break out in the bathroom and no one is around, support staff is not there. So in that aspect, I understand. However, they just took it to a whole nother level in terms of, I don't care if you're bleeding. So if a girl is like clearly bleeding all over herself, there's evidence that she's not lying. She's not making up an excuse to get out of PE. You're on the recording. It said, I don't care if you're bleeding. You're going to stay there and bleed. You know what that is? That's a burnt out educator. Some of you probably was in the comments of that when that news broke out. I know some of y'all was in the comments, oh, how can this teacher be like this? No. I know some of y'all was like that. But me, as a stress-free coach, I said that's a burnt out educator. I'm not justifying the actions. I'm not. That is wrong. You can't have a child bleeding and you're saying, I don't care. The recording was pretty brutal. And I know the recording is just a snippet. When students record, teachers, there's many recordings out there. The teacher hit the student, the teacher did this, the teacher did. Those recordings a lot of times are lies, because the beginning of the story has never been told and will never be told. How much, just like you can only push somebody to a certain point, you can only push somebody to a certain point in regular life and in education. So they don't tell the full story. They don't show the fact that the child hit the teacher first. I'm not saying that teachers should stoop to that level. However, these recordings are very tough. I feel bad every time a teacher recording comes out, or a principal or a school recording, whatever the case may be. I really feel bad. A lot of the times it's not the full story. And it's really bad. I just would prefer if things could be handled without social media being involved, but that's the times that we're living in. It's going to get posted. Unfortunately, these kids are pulling out their phones now. So educators, you need to be careful. You can't be saying all kind of stuff. Back in the day, you could be flying off the handle and saying whatever you want to do. You better collect phones at the door. I'm just saying, you got to do something like that, because there's cameras everywhere. Now they want to put cameras in the classroom. Oh, Father, that's another whole podcast episode. I'm not even going to touch that right now. But I will say this, for all of you who are advocating, yes, because we need to see what's going on. Can we put cameras in your home, parents? Can we see what's going on? How about that? How about we just even the playing field? You put a camera in your home so I can see how you're treating your child while they come to school angry every day. And I can report child abuse. Yeah. Put that there. To me, everything in life is all about balance. You can't want to put cameras in classrooms, and we can't put cameras in your house. I need to see how you treat your child at home, cussing them out and whatnot. I don't care if it's your child. You can't do that. No. You got to treat your child like a human being. Hello? So anyway, so that's just the situation of these recordings now, and students are doing stuff to teachers. And so this teacher the recording was pretty bad. But I knew that was a stressed out educator. And it's funny because how I know is not because of what she was saying on the recording. It was one thing that a news reporter said that I'm pretty sure a lot of people overlooked. The one thing that the news reporter said was, she's a science teacher. Right then and there, my thought was, why is a science teacher teaching PE? She already out her grace. Done deal. Done deal. She probably was going to get surplus, and they offered her the PE class, or maybe she wasn't good at teaching science and they're just trying to keep, give her something else to do. Yeah, I was like, the science teachers teaching PE, they just, it was one of those weird details where you're like, why are they mentioning this? It had nothing to do with the incident. The reporter just kind of threw it out there. I said, there it is right there. As a stress-free coach, I have the ability to pinpoint the root. That's the root. She loves science, but she's teaching PE. She out her role. She out her element. I'm not saying she should talk to kids like that. So this is what I'm talking about. Students versus educators, where it gets violent, where it gets, you're now being recorded. Now they're now bullying the teacher. On social media and all of that stuff, and cyber stalking, stalking your web page. I actually found a student that created a web page in my name. It wasn't a negative page. They just chose to use my name. Maybe they were underage, because you have to be a certain age to have a social media page, and they decided to use my name. And I happened to just put my name in the search, and I'm like, what's this account? And I actually messaged the student. I'm like, take this down. And they were just a past student of mine, and a very good kid. I didn't have a problem with this student. So I'm like, girl, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm gonna take it down. I'm like, oh my goodness. And this is for a child that liked me, and we got along well. So I can't imagine for the students that just matter. Oh my goodness, we have to be careful. Our kids are going in and shooting, bringing guns and knives. And teachers, we got to be careful. We got to be careful. This is a very stressful factor. Now, you're already stressed out about other things, and now you're fearing for your life because these kids are doing stuff to you, slashing car tire. I mean, it's getting bad. Putting you on social media, now your whole character is online for the world to see. It's bad now. So this is a new world of stress. This is new, because when there was no internet and stuff like that, those teachers wasn't experiencing this kind of stress. This is new. This is some newly developed things, and it's sad. It really is sad. So I'm gonna advocate for both sides, as I always do. Students. First, let me go to personal testimony time. Personal story. Let me go to personal story, and then I'll sum it up. My personal story. Thank God, all my students did not hate me. I'm not going to say they liked me, but I never had, thank you, Jesus, any incident where the student hated. I hate Miss Howard's class. I hate going. I never had that. I will have a student who's frustrated because I have high expectations and I'm tough. But at the end of the day, they know Miss Howard loved them. I can honestly say all of my students, the ones that drove me nuts or didn't drive me nuts, they know if I discipline them, if I do certain things, I'm doing it out of, the kids can tell that, you know that? I'm doing it out of a place because I want you to be better. It's because I actually care. It's not because I want you to suffer. They know the difference. They do that to parents too. They know when parents are tough loving through love, and there's tough loving because they're just mad that you were born. They know the difference. They know the difference. So thank God I never had an incident where the students hated me and was slashing my cartas and recording me and all that stuff. No, no, no. They didn't like certain things I did, of course, like everybody. But story time. When I was growing up, okay, it's funny because people who grew up with me, some of them were surprised that I became a teacher because they were like, we remember what you used to do in the class. I did some not so good things as a student. So students, I'm talking to you. I was once a student. I did some not so nice things. Now, I didn't go to the extreme. I didn't go to the extreme like some of you guys did do with the social media and the I'm a slap at it. No, 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 no. I had manners. I don't do those things. But when growing up, I used to be mean to some teachers, not all. And more so in high school. It was more so in high school, not really in elementary or anything like that. High school. In Jamaica, middle and high school is in one. So somewhere around that time. It was those years. And I actually remember all the teachers that I was mean to. And it was 5 of them, 5 teachers. That's it. It was 5 because, you know, all through high school, you get different teachers. You got the biology teacher, the chemistry teacher. I had a lot of different teachers over the years. It was only 5. I'm not saying it should be 5, but it should be 0. But I was rude. And for those teachers, if you happen to watch this, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry because I'm going to tell you why. So I was rude to them. And then when I became a teacher, you know, some people was like, oh God, Howard, who used to tell the teachers this and that and the third. And how are you a teacher now? And I had to do some reflections. I'm like, yeah, why am I a teacher? Like I used to not like some of y'all, you know, how is this possible? But I did some reflection, and I actually realized, so students, this is where I'm going to back you up just a little bit. I don't support everything you do, but I'm going to back you up a little bit. I realized that those 5 teachers were in the wrong. I couldn't articulate it then, but I can articulate. It's like, I was like, okay, if I just hated school, I would do it to all the teachers, like every class. It doesn't matter. I was like, why though? I kept saying to myself, okay, why those 5 teachers? It was 5 teachers and no one else. Why those 5? And I started to look back. They were wrong. And you have to understand, it's just like you have some babies where they're friendly and they'll let you hold them. And then another person comes up and they start to cry. And the mom is like, they never do that. They're so friendly. It's a spirit of discernment. Those teachers were in the wrong. Okay. And as a teenager, you just don't really know how to, I just didn't really know how to really fix it. I just know it made me mad. And that's how you know your purpose. It made me mad because I just felt like they were doing some things that they shouldn't be doing to students. And it's not that I hate them or anything, just at the time, I just did, it was my purpose, I didn't know how to just do it nicely. You know, when you're mad about something and it's like, no, this is wrong. That was what it was. I was adamant to prove that it was wrong. And those teachers are good people. I'm not going to say that this and that and the third, but it's not overall that you weren't doing what you were supposed to do. There was just whatever incident triggered me, you were wrong, because I didn't do it to anybody else. So this particular incident, I remember it plain as day. Me and my friends like to sit in the back of the class. We don't like to sit in the front. We're not front people. You would think that the reason why we want to sit in the back of the class, and I'm still like that till today. I don't really like to sit in the front. You would think that the reason why we want to be in the back is because we want to give trouble. I had parents that were high advocates of education. So even if I gave trouble in school, I better pass. Anybody have those kind of mothers and fathers out there? It was a non-negotiable in my family. So even if I gave trouble in school, I'm still gonna get an A. So that's not the reason why and I realized that I just learned better. I don't know, I just don't like being in the front. It's just, I'm comfortable. It has nothing to do with I want to be in the back just slacking off. Did I talk to my friends in class and try to whisper or stuff like, yes, every child does that. They do it in the front row too. So that was not the reason. So we were in this particular class and we always sat in the back. And then you had some girls who they always sat in the front. That's where they wanted to sit. So even though there was no assigned seats, collectively as a class, every time we went to French classes, we would sit in the same spot. And we had a respect for each other that we just knew this my seat. So my friends were pretty much in the back and these girls were pretty much in the front. We're in French class. My friend next to me was really good at French. She had A's because she was aspiring to move, like travel. And she's like, well, she really wanted to learn how to speak French. Me, I just wanted to pass class. Okay, bonjour, whatever. I wasn't interested. So I got a B. Well, that's good, right? But she was an A student. And yeah, we sat in the back, but we got A's and B's. Like, no, nobody in the back row was failing French. And this particular teacher was actually what we call in America interim sub, because our French teacher, she was the sweetest teacher ever. Maybe that's why I took the class. Oh, she was so sweet. And very good at what she does. She was pregnant. So he came in while she was out. So he wasn't even really the teacher, but he was an aspiring teacher. He was in teacher's college. So he had the heart of a teacher trying to get there. And my friend, like I said, we got good grades. We did our work. My friend also had a bladder problem. So whenever she needs to go to the restroom, she needs to go. She's not lying. She's not, so on and so forth. I actually didn't know she had a bladder problem. I actually didn't know. It was, she raised her hand to ask to go to the bathroom and he told her no. Then she whispered to me, I kind of have a bladder issue and I can't hold it. Now I think class was going to be over in like 15 minutes or so. If my memory serves me correctly. So maybe she could have held it and then we would have been on break. I think that's where he was going and we could go on the break time. But she was basically whispering to me, telling me she won't make it, and it's one thing for a kindergartner to pee on themselves, is another thing for you to pee on yourself in high school. You go never live that down. And thank God it was French class where a lot of boys were not interested in French. So it was mostly girls in the class. So maybe they'll be understanding. But can you imagine the embarrassment? You peed all over yourself. So when she told me that, I just felt it was injustice. Just like that teacher who talked about the bathroom. If now the child is expressing that, okay, I'm really not lying. I really have to go. Educators, you got to release that. Stop. And even if they are lying, document. They told me this, just in case something happens and a parent comes to you, I have to let your child go to the bathroom. Document it. They went to the bathroom at 10:32 and they were there for an hour. Like, just document and have your evidence. Don't fight that kind of battle. I hated when my students asked me to go to the restroom because I know a lot of the times it was avoidance. But I let them go. Because that's the last thing I want. I already have enough stress. I'm not going to have stress over pee and poop. I'm sorry. Educators, let it go. Let it go. So I raised my hand and I began to advocate for her. I was being nice at first. I was saying, sir, she kind of has a, I was trying not to, I was like, she kind of has a problem. Can you please let my friend go to the bathroom? So you need a friend like me. I'm a ride or die. We ride together. You know what I'm saying? So that was me. And so I'm thinking now that I said it, and I'm like, sir, please, he said no. And then he made a comment. This is where I flipped. Because I was trying to be calm. Only smart students sit in the front who actually want to do some work. That was the comment he made. In other words, throwing shade at the ones that chose to sit in the back, that were just slacking off and want to go to the bathroom. When he made that comment, and I know for a fact that my friend had higher scores than the girls in the front, and I had a B, I mean, sir, stop. And I wasn't even trying for the B. I had a B because I wasn't interested in French. Stop it. Stop it. What? I flipped. I was like, okay. I was like, oh, really? You feel that way? Your class is over. He was like, what do you mean? And I got up and I threw my desk on the floor, not to hit anyone. I flipped the desk. Hey, Jesus flipped the temple, flipped the table in the temple. That's my excuse. That's what I tell people. Jesus had his moment. I flipped the desk, but I made sure not to hit anybody because that's not where I was going. I flipped the table over to let him know your class is over. Until he let my friend go. I protested until he let my friend go to the bathroom. This class is over. And guess what he did? He had to let her go. She walked out and went to the bathroom. I was like, your class is done. And the next day, I told my friends, we're going to get to class early and we're going to sit in the front row. We didn't bully the girls in the front or anything. What we did, we just got to class early and we just sat in the front row. And they came in and they're like, oh, okay, whatever. And they went to the back. It wasn't a bullying situation. And we sat in the front row. And I looked at him and I said, okay, are we smart now? We're sitting in the front row. Oh, I threw shade. I did it. So educators, let's flip over to your side. If students are being nasty to you, you have to ask yourself this very tough question. Is it something in you that you're doing that's injustice? And as a child, they don't really have much rights, unfortunately. It's hard for them to really advocate as a child. So are they acting out because of something in you? There was no way I was going to let a teacher have my friend pee on herself. She was literally, he couldn't see that part because we're in the back of the class. She was literally like this, crossing her legs, shaking her legs. You can't see my legs, but I'm like shaking like this, not to pee on herself. I said, absolutely not. I shut the class down. I did. No. So I realized that he was a great guy. I don't have a problem with him. Great. I'm pretty sure he's a great educator now. That's not my problem. You don't let this girl use this bathroom. That's injustice. I don't like injustice against children. I don't do very well with it. And unfortunately, I was young and I didn't know what else to do but to flip the table. I flipped it. Your class is over. So educators, ask yourself, if your students are behaving like this, you have to ask yourself, okay, is it that they feel I hate them? Because sometimes that's how they feel. And I've heard, sometimes I tutor and the kids will be like, yeah, my teacher hates me. They really feel like you hate them. You have to know how to make your students feel loved, but they know you don't like them. It's okay for you not to like them. Like you get on my nerves. Because you come in here talking, all that talking. Yes, it's okay to let them know that, but they still have to feel loved. If they feel their teacher, and another comment I heard a student make while I was tutoring, oh, my teacher doesn't care anything about math. She don't care about teaching us math. I was like, what? What do you mean? And I know teaching is stressful and she's probably tired or whatever. I didn't expect this answer. And he said she doesn't care about teaching math because she's really a social studies teacher and they gave her a math class this year. Leaders, Now, I don't know the situation. It could be that they had to fire her, because when you surplus, sometimes they'll do that. Listen, we have to surplus you from social studies, but we have this math position and they're trying to save a job. So I understand that there's a lot in play when that comes in, but a social studies teacher not teaching math, she doesn't care. I was looking at the kid like, yeah, you're right. Have you ever like let students just talk? I call that recess therapy. I used to have like, as long as they don't curse or do something extreme, I used to say recess therapy. And I used to just actually let them talk. Because sometimes I used to be like, what else am I gonna do? I'm trying to teach them and they're not getting it. I just used to let them, you ever listen to kids? You ever really give them a safe space to talk? But set boundaries, because you're not gonna come up in here cussing and all this stuff. You be like, that makes sense. They're wiser than you think. They deep. A child ever said something, ooh, they're deep. We're born with these instincts, guys. So what he said was right. They made her, she's really a social studies teacher. And I'm like, wow, he came up with that conclusion. So educators, we have to ask ourselves, is it something within? And we have to fix it. If it's nothing within, your class is for real just crazy. Like, okay, I try to love on them. I try to do this. I try to do that. And you actually care. You're talking to the parents and they're still fighting against you. Here's my advice. Seek the support that you can. Seek the support that you can. Because a lot of the times, you know, we tend to just deal with it on our own. Don't stop sending the bat signal. Don't stop. There was a time where things were not going well in my classroom, but I was afraid to tell the principal because a lot of the time they look at you as being weak and not able to manage your class. And that's not the case. There was something wrong with the dynamics of who was in my class. They can't be together. So I was afraid of telling them that because I didn't want them to think I don't know how to control the class and I don't have classroom management and stuff like that. So I was trying to fix it on my own to just make them think, okay, because some bosses don't like that. Oh, get your class to get, they don't care. And I remember doing that and it didn't do me good. It did not do me good because they ended up figuring it out anyway. She had to actually pull me to the side and she's like, do you feel like I need to pull some of these kids out and put with another teacher and kind of switch it up a bit? And I was so glad she said it because I was like, yes. So my advice to you is don't stop seeking support. When you seek support and they don't give it to you, because that also happens, don't stop seeking. Don't stop seeking support. If those students are fighting you every day, don't stop seeking support. That teacher that snapped and they recorded her about the bathroom incident, I hope she has documentations that she was trying to seek support. The students went on the news and reported that every year. That's how the kids treat her. So my thing is like, okay, if this happens every year, is it something you're doing? I'm not blaming her. I don't know the situation, but I'm just saying every year, I thought it was just that year, but a student is like, oh, every year they always give her a hard time. Every student gives her a hard time. So I'm like, something wrong with that. But I just hope that she seeks the support and you are seeking the support. And if they don't give it to you, oh, we don't have a behavior tech. We don't have they're going to tell you all this stuff. Keep seeking, keep advocating. Go to the union if you need to. Advocate until you're not bullied and you don't feel threatened, and then, you know, all of that stuff. I'm proud of a teacher who she felt like she was being threatened by the parent and the student, and she was like, okay, I know what neighborhood this is. I don't want nobody pulling up on me, and she transferred. So if these students, don't try to be a hero. If students are fighting against you and you're seek the support. And keep seeking it, keep documenting it, and know when to release it when it's time to release it. My stress-free tip for the students: if you're in a class that you feel like the teacher is not doing what they're supposed to do, especially similar to the example that I gave before in story time, you feel like there's some injustice being done, you feel like the teacher don't like you, they're not doing their job, Any of those feelings that you may have, my suggestion to you is still understand the assignment, right? Still pass the class anyway, still keep it moving, keep it pushing. You can go ahead and tell your parent if there's some injustices going on in the class. You can go ahead and see an administrator to talk to the principal or anything like that. If there's something really serious going on in the class that the educator is doing, I'm not saying don't speak up and keep quiet, but I urge you to still learn and still do your work, still turn in your homework and things like that. Don't join in the bullying or any of those extremes. I voiced my opinion to those teachers in not necessarily the nicest way, but I never went to the extreme of hurting them, bullying them, putting their business out, their family and their business out there online and recording them and all of this stuff and causing so much more damage. You're laughing with your friends because you just think, oh, it's funny, but you really have ruined somebody's life by posting this stuff on social media and all of this stuff. So my thing to you is, my stress-free tip to you is, if you have a teacher that is really not doing what they're supposed to do and you really feel like you need to speak to someone, go ahead and speak to your parents and speak to whoever you need to talk to maybe have a class change or anything like that. And I know some of the students at this school, before they recorded her, they were telling their parents and the parents were trying to let the principal know and certain things like that. So I'm not saying that they didn't say anything, but I just urge you not to fail a class just because the teacher don't like you. I know some students do that, like because the teacher don't like them, they just totally disengage. How about you pass the assignment anyway? You really want to get a revenge on the teacher? You really feel the teacher don't like you? Pass the class. That's the real revenge right there. Pass the class and be like, thank you for my A, peace out. So I encourage you all, instead of going to those extremes and following your friends and pretty much getting a gang together to literally ruin this teacher's life, I think that's a bit much. Just go to whoever you need to go to try to get some change done and try to have things run differently in the classroom, but still do your work. Is pretty much what I'm saying. Still do your work, still turn in your items, and just still do what you're supposed to. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Join us next time at LFK Services. Subscribe to our channel, write us, tell us what you want us to talk about, and always remember, you deserve to be stress-free. Bye. Take care.